Christy with Christy's Beautiful Life, and today I am back with the third installment of Obsessed with Caddy and Christy. So excited for this one. I love the way it turned out. This week, our challenge was to draw three things, Caddy had written down like six different things to draw from. I drew using um, misting or painting, and I did spray mist. You'll see I add it in with my paint. I drew stencils, which is ironic enough because I added it at the very end and I drew it. And I picked paperclip. And I think the other ones were like twine and just other little embellishment things that we had to put on our page. So it was really fun. And the way this layout turned out was not really how I was expecting it to be, but I love it. So what you were seeing as I was jabbing away there is I took my paint and spray mist and I used my stencils and I just created my own background. I'm now going to pick my pattern papers and showing you those were the four that we had to use this week. I believe I'm the one that picked out those ones. I love the color scheme. And I'm going to use this black and white stripe one just as a border piece. I love bordering my layouts. I know a lot of people do it, but I really love it when it has to do with black on it. Like there's just something about it that kind of puts an end mark to your layout, and I love it. I then decided that I didn't use enough spray, so I used my Heidi Shine in gold, and I'm gonna spray my entire layout, just spray it. Like if you know when they made it, I think it was intended to be used for was just a spray, like that, and that's how I used it. So love it there. I'm then going to take these three awesome pieces of pattern paper. This is the second one, and it's the green color here. And I'm going to tear all of the edges, and I'm going to show you a minute of it, and then it's all magically going to be done. So I do that to my green paper, and I do two sets of that because I'm going to use white for one of them. And then I'm also going to do it with my pink, which you'll see coming up as well. So this was a little bit tricky for me because I was only trying to rip just the tiny ends of it, and I don't have very long nails, so to grab that little strip of paper was really tricky. It took me a little while. It was a little annoying actually, but I do like the way that it turned out. So there you go. You see that that's done. And I'm just showing you I have the white that's a little bit bigger, and I'm placing that there, and then the green. And then I'm showing you I'm going to do the same thing with the pink. I had trimmed down that pink because I want to use it for another layout coming out. And I do the same thing. And with the pink, I ripped two corners on the left-hand side, two corners on the right-hand side, and left the middle one alone. And there are my photos and the last piece of pattern paper there. So my photos are of my little guy dressed up as an Easter bunny. Now these were actually not taken around Easter because I wasn't expecting him to grow and be as big as he was. So we made it for a 3-month-old, and he was the size of a 3-month-old when he was like 4 weeks old. Like he just grew so fast. He was so chubby and cute. So I took these pictures way before Easter, but they still represent Easter, and we actually don't think we even did much for Easter that year, so this is just my Easter page here. I cut out those little, I think they're bunnies. I could be wrong. They might be like deer. I'm not, but I think they're bunnies, so I'm going to go with the fact that they're bunnies. And I cut them out, and I'm going to use them on my layout, and that's how I incorporated them there. And I knew I wanted some gold, so I took some overlays, which I'm trying to get used up. I have this, I'm part of the Victoria Marie Facebook No Buy, and so is Caddy. And the goal is to not spend any money in October. And so I also challenged myself personally to use up certain amounts of supplies. And I did a 3-part video on that. And one of them was to use at least, I think, 10 overlays. And on this layout alone, I used 5. So I did half of my goal on one layout, which made me really happy. But I really like the way that the gold looked around it, so I'm trying to do something, and I don't know what I'm doing here. I thought that was going to work really well, and in the end, I don't even do that. I put the piece of pattern paper back with the green, because you can see I put it to the side, and I actually just layer it. I was trying to get the scallops on, but in the end, I didn't really like the way it looked, and it made my photo look funny because half of my photo had an overlay on it and half of it didn't. So that will switch. And here you see I layered two of the bunnies on that one photo of Jackson's back to us and showing the little, excuse me, the little bunny tail that my mom made on his diaper cover. And here's the same thing. I did the same thing with that too. I layered it on top of my photo and I didn't like it. So I'm going to cut it and then cut the thing itself and overlay it. I had a hard time. It was working in my head, and then when I went to do it, it did not work. But in the end, it's fine. It looks great and it's all done, but it was frustrating, that's for sure. So let's see what's next here. Okay, so now I'm going to work on the bottom part and show you that I'm going to cut, and it magically gets done. I cut my overlay and stripped it. So the one strip is just this really pretty gold foil doily, and then the second one says little one or something along those lines. It's definitely a baby lined themed overlay, and I just thought it fit really well for this, so I put it at the bottom, and that's just kind of my little mini cluster there. I do love the way that that turned out. It's perfect, the perfect amount of gold. So then I'm going to add my title, and it's called First Easter. It's going to go into his album about all his firsts. I was listening to the paper clipping round table, their first oh, what was it? The one that Chameline was on with Noelle, and they did it about like themed albums and going through her albums and seeing if you had a pattern and putting those all into one album. And I was doing that and noticed that I title a lot of things Jackson's Firsts, and so I'm like, I'll just do an album out of it. So that's where this one is going to go, and I have quite a few layouts, obviously, because he's still so young. He's got lots of firsts, and I am not scrapbooking in order. Like, I just pick what I think looks nice and go from there. So that's where this is going to go in that album. And so now I'm working on my embellishments, and I had a hard time with this. I had a few ideas, and when I went to go do them, I decided I didn't love them as much. But I do add this little clear overlay white heart next to, on that photo of Jackson in the middle, it does say Happy Easter, or it says Easter 2014. This was his card that I gave to my family and friends, so that. And then I am using up these two gold hearts, and that finishes up almost that entire pack, which is a wedding themed pack, by the way. And what I'm going to do is I tear off the top of it so that I at least say I can finish half of it. Those arrows I will eventually find a way to use. I can always use gold. It's pretty easy. And then I'm trying to work through these Teresa Collins. Oh, I cannot talk today. They're rub-ons. Sorry, guys. And I really have been trying to use them, and I have a hard time trying to figure out where they're going to go. And I've been for months trying to figure out how to use them. But I do get this one floral one put on the layout, so that made me happy. And I do add a little tab. There's no journaling. There's not much to say. I don't even remember what we did for Easter, so I'd have to look back in Project Life and see what it says. But I also know what is documented in Project Life, so this is just a pretty layout. It's not one for journaling sake. And then I go and use this other Teresa Collins. I think that's Teresa Collins. Maybe it's Heidi Swaff. I'm not sure. But I've also had that for a really long time, and I love it, but I can never seem to get them on my layout. I can't seem to make it work. It's so frustrating. But I did find a pink heart that I added to the bunnies in that left square. And then I'm thinking about trying to use a little more of this, and I think those are from Simple Stories, but they don't make it on. Oh, maybe that white one does. Ah, that's true. I do add that white one. So there's 3 hearts and 2 bunnies in that little cluster there. It's a little much, probably. I probably didn't need to do it, but I do like the way it turns out. And I go back to that one that I told you I can't seem to use, and I add a little gold arrow to that as well. And then I have this little strip left over that I had just used on another layout, and I'm like, oh, it's pink, but there's a little bit of pink in the pattern paper anyway, so, and like I've said before, I do not mind putting pink on my layouts. It doesn't bother me It's a little bit, and if he really doesn't like it, once I'm dead, he can get rid of them. It's fine with me. So you're just gonna see me kind of run through a few more embellishments. I'll add my rub-on, and I believe that I have a hard time. You can see I'm really playing with what I want to use. I tried so hard to use some of the stickers from this sticker sheet is the Maggie Holmes Open Book Collection, and that's what we're working with, right? Caddy and I are working with that collection, and I tried so hard to use something somewhere on this layout because I haven't even touched it yet, and nothing makes it on the layout. But I did try, so points for that, I guess. And the other thing is you're not going to see where the paper clip comes into play because I added it afterwards. I was realizing that this was taking so long that it just wasn't worth it. So I cut out and I do add it, and you should see it in the close-ups. And the other thing that I do is I added I had found a gold pen that I didn't realize I had, and I traced the outline of the white pattern paper that I made my own pattern with, and I just trace it from the doily up and then around and kind of into a triangle. But so it's like stitching, but instead I just used my pen. And I do like the way that that ended up looking as well. And so my final little piece here is I added a little sticker to the right photo that says favorite, and I found a wood veneer in my collection. And it's the exact same shape, and I think it has to be from the same collection. And what happened is I'm like, oh, there's this funny little area right beside the first, if you can see that. And I'm like, this looks funny. I need to add something. And I was trying to add the rub on at first, but that wasn't working. So instead, I'm going to add an arrow there to tie in with the arrow at the right. And that will it'll make it look perfect. I love the way that that turned out. So you can see I'm playing around with the rub-on, trying to decide where I want it. I decided it looks nice. It helps kind of tie in the background, which is not the same color as the pattern paper, but it was the same color as the blanket he's sitting on. And that's how I was able to tie it all in. So that is going to wrap up my layout. Thanks everyone so much for watching, and go ahead and check out Caddy's. Bye everyone. Hi everyone, this is Christy.